next step is the cost profile. So whatever we did all on top here is what you're going to be attaching. So I think the standard cost was it done by me? I can't recall. I think I did this. I can't recall. Let's see. Or was it the seeded one? So here you have a standard cost. What costing method we are doing? We have the three costing methods: standard, perpetual, and actual. So we are using the standard cost. Process negative quantity.
Can you just little bit spend time on the cost method, please? That's very critical. So actual cost, average, and standard. Am I right? Is there any difference between perpetual average and average?
I'm not sure. I don't know.
What is the
okay, FIFO LIFO is another column. Yeah.
Okay. So what I'll tell you what I understand. Again, like I said, this a lot of this costing module. It's very hard for me to express myself because maybe I'm not too confident or maybe I'm not too clear. But what I understand is, so there's a concept here that was it even standard cost or actual cost? I can't remember. But one of these costs can only, I think only the standard costs, we publish them. I told you there's a cost planning process. There's a module called cost planning. Okay. So in that cost planning, you are just view, like how you, like Dilip, I remember you telling me that you're a planning person and you can view plans, you can view the output, you can view that if you run the plan, this is what the replenishment you'll be creating. So in costing also, when you do a cost planning, you can view your output that you're getting, and if you're not okay with the output, you can come back, change the material, change the overhead, change some cost, change some things. Again, generate a roll-up, like especially it's used in configured items. So you can keep generating new roll-up, cost roll-up, view the output. If you are happy with the output, then only you publish it to costing. Then only you can publish to cost. So in that, you cannot publish average costing. And one of them, actual or standard, I'm forgetting. So out of these three, only one can be published. I believe standard cost. Only standard cost.
Standard costing, yeah. Standard costing because you set up,
right.
You set up in one particular cost type and then you update to the standard cost.
So the other two is only used for simulation. The other two, actual and perpetual, is only used for simulating and understanding. So suppose you want to just, as a costing manager, you can create a different cost book which runs on perpetual average for exactly the same inventory or for exactly the same things. So using cost book 1, I'm viewing my standard cost, which I'm going to publish, which I'm going to account, to do everything. And in the second one, in the perpetual average, I'm only viewing the average and something like that. You're not publishing it.
Let me tell you, whatever you said is relevant to standard cost, you are correct. But actual and perpetual costing are different cost methods. So I think...
okay, can you select actual cost and let me see the behavior of the quantity depletion method? Okay.
Oh, you have only cost FIFO. So in standard cost...
You should not have anything there, right?
In standard cost also FIFO only, no?
FIFO is not relevant in standard cost. And then actual perpetual average. Okay. Everywhere is only FIFO. That's strange. Yeah. Okay. I thought it would vary based on that. Okay.
I don't know. This is what I've always seen, so I won't know. But yeah, so like I was telling you, that when you do a cost planning and when you want to publish your costs, you can only do for standard cost. You cannot, like, if you're using a cost profile as average or actual, you cannot publish them into the costing. That's for mainly, I know it's for configured items that is there. I'm not sure if you're using it normally. Like if you don't use cost planning, can you use perpetual average and actual cost? I believe you can. But when you're doing cost planning, you can use only this standard cost.
Actually, I'll tell you one thing. Let me explain you. I've done enough of standard costings. Only in standard costing you do simulations. You don't do simulations in average cost or actual cost.
But here you can. I'm pretty confident on that. So I don't know if it's a new feature in Fusion which is not there in EBS. In Fusion you can view the plans in perpetual average and actual, but you cannot publish them. So your publishing will have to be a standard cost where you actually cost the material. But if you just want to view, you can.
Actually, cost elements are to capture cost. Am I right? So in standard costing, those are all used to do the valuations. Whereas in actual costings and average costing, that is automatically done by the system, by the algorithm. Automatically, those are all dynamic. Here is only static. So before you make every quarterly, people update costings or if, some frequency. So they will be simulating first and then they will publish. Publishing is nothing but you're making that cost effective in the system.
Correct, correct. So exactly.
It doesn't make sense, actually.
Okay. Okay, I get you what you're trying to say. So mainly for configured items, when you when you want to calculate your cost roll-ups and all, yeah, that is where we use the cost planning and cost roll-up, those pandas. Okay, so we were creating a cost profile, and in the cost profile you should give your valuation structure that we had created. Okay, first you would say which valuation structure, whether it was asset or expense. Cost by primary professional completions, value at standard cost. Okay. And yeah, this is also an important field, that your scrap, when you have a scrap, whether you want to count it as an expense or you don't want to count it. I think this is also an option. No, there was one more option here for scrap accounting. Maybe in some other relevant LOVs it will be like dependent LOVs. And when do you want to do your scrap valuation? Whether you want to do it at the work order close, or value at work order close, or value immediately and at work order close at both the events, or value at cost cutoff date and work order close. Okay, this is for your scrap valuation, this one and this field.
So how is it the values, the scrapping? 1 minute, one question here. Scrapping will be done. So two types of scrapping, am I right? One is scrapping and adding the cost to the work order, and another is to adding to an account. So here, what kind of options we have? So you do it to the work order, or how do you put the both?
I didn't understand your both. I know whether you can decide whether you want to cost the scrap or not. And that is how here it's saying. And here, apart from expense, you had one more option is what I remember. That the operations cap accounting, whether you want to treat it like an expense object, or why do I think there was another thing?
Yeah, that may be determining whether you can do asset or to do,
or whether you cannot,
to the job or to expense.
Correct. So that's what I know here. I don't know what you mean by the two scrapping.
This is two ways of scrapping. Okay, this is general. Forget about Oracle EVS. So there are setups in EVS to do that. But here, your expense means you are not even doing that to work order. You are accounting to an expense account.
Right. So if there was the other choice, if there was another choice, that choice may have added it to the work order. But that choice is not showing right now.
Asset means, I think, work order, I guess. Asset
right. That choice is not showing for some reason, but if that choice had been there, it would be the...
Why do I remember you have options for, like you said, for scrap accounting also, you have two options that you have to select. I can't recall the exact names of the options. So one we are seeing here is expense. I don't know what is the other option. But I remember like reading somewhere or, understanding this, that you can decide how you want to cost your scrap. But here for every option we are seeing only expense. I don't know, is it because of standard cost? There you go.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay.
So yeah, okay, now I kind of remember. So if it is your actual cost, the scrap, do you want to calculate it in your inventory costing, or do you want to calculate in your work order costing? That is what were the two options. Okay, got it.
And another question I have is another valid question. Go back to this right side, operation scrap valuation.
Okay.
There, how do you say, because here is the costing order is different and the work order process is different. How do you do immediately? What that means of immediately? It cannot be done, in my opinion. Immediately means maybe a frequency of sync it will be done.
Immediately is when you do the transfer, and
Correct.
as soon as the
Correct.
transaction occurs, next time you do the transfer, it will get valued.
Transfer, I guess, yes.
Yeah.
Correct. Yes.
This cutoff date then at what? What is the cutoff date? Third option?
You have your accounting, like how you have those accounting key cutoff dates, right? Your cost, similarly, cost also has like how in SLA you have
Period.
cutoff dates.
Hmm?
Again, I'm this area I'm a little not confident, but I think period end is little different. Period end could be a end of some period. These cutoff dates are by this date you have to process all your transactions and put them.
Where do you
And
set
period
up?
end is end.
Where do you set up the cutoff dates?
Cutoff date is also set up somewhere. Mostly the finance guys do it, so I'm not very confident of which setup page it is. But normally the periods start and close, opening the periods, the finance guys do it.
Hmm. It is done in financial modules or it is done in costing module?
I think it's done in finance modules. I don't remember anywhere in costing module. In costing module, we set up one time zone. I'm forgetting exactly the setup page name, but there's something like a time zone setup. So basically, you're telling the system that your inventory orgs are in this time zone and that your legal entity is in this time zone. So that it calculates so that it honors the cutoff date and all.
I think,
Okay,
Dipti, my
that is
opinion, it is not done at accounting level. My opinion, because accounting is at operating unit level. But whereas this cutoff dates and the inventory work order is at inventory org level or a cost org level. So my opinion, it should be done either in inventory or in costing, not in.
costing is not at inventory org level. Costing is at your it's related to every operating unit, and it should be under that same profit center unit, right? Remember the first image that we saw. You are costing ultimately with different organizations and in one cost book and cost org. Okay,
Yeah, cost
but
org. I think it's costing is done at cost org
yeah,
level.
yeah, and you follow the time zone of like you set a time zone in costing that is to tell you your inventory plans and legal entities following which time zone, but your period start, period end, period cutoff is all in finance. And here you have somewhere default time zone or legal entity time zone kind of a setup task. We can search for it once we go back. We'll search for it. It's something like that is the page called, and there you set up the time zone basically.
I think then in that case, cost orgs should be belong to one time zone. Under the inventory orgs belong to one cost org. Should belong to one time zone. Otherwise, the transaction times will be different. Costing.
Maybe correct. Like I said, I never got into that level, but makes sense.
So that was one limitation in EBS, that time zones were not recognized and we had to tweak the system for different time zones. I'm wondering if Fusion has done something much more for time zones.
I'll show you that. Even honestly, that was not available in the first release of costing, that time zone setup and all. That all came later. Even the calendar and all, that all came much later. The inventory org, remember we set up calendars, time
Okay,
zones.
we'll have to see the detail, but I think Fusion has expanded on that time zone requirements. Okay.
We'll see. That's just one simple page. I'll try to search for it. I don't remember the exact page name. Let's finish this page and then we'll search for that page once we go back.
Okay.
So after the work order evaluation rule, this was the work order section. This is the cost structure, like which cost component mapping that you're using, the cost component group that we created. I don't know this analysis map. Honestly, whenever I use this page, this field probably didn't even catch my attention.
Right.
And now it's catching my attention. Something I saw a tooltip. What was it? Okay, wait. It came again. Maps cost components and cost element to analysis. Okay, I thought so. I felt that this is only for reporting.
Some kind of reporting.
Correct. Okay, and this is your transaction costing rules. So when you have
or is it simulation?
Reporting.
Cost structure simulation. Analysis.
No. This is analysis mapping is purely for reporting.
Okay.
And this is for your transaction costing rules. Whether receipt without cost, what are you using? use current average cost. Receipt
Okay,
without
that's fine.
cost. Okay, again,
Okay,
I don't recognize these fields, but I'm sure you guys understood this.
Yeah, no, we know that. That's okay. We understand that.
Now, additional parameters. Can you open that last one? Additional parameters, please.
That is for flex fields. If you have flex fields, you will have it in additional parameters. If you want to capture additional like flex fields. If you define any flex fields, we come here.
I don't.
Yeah, everywhere there is additional parameters meant for flex fields. Okay. So that jug handle, cup handle, now in EBS, that's replaced by something called additional parameters in every form.
What? In EBS it was called cup handle and jug handle.
That's the icon which people colloquially use to describe it.
Oh, okay.
There's an icon
So, yeah.
which looks like
So
that.
it's a DFFs you mean to say?
Yeah.
Yeah, DFF, correct.
Okay.
Okay, so yeah, after you leave the screen, I just wanted to
The
check
time
up on
zone, let's see that.
No, so just sorry to interrupt. Do you have? I mean, I have one important question on the work definition trial that I was doing. Now, will you keep some time for that? Just one question I have. And what time are we winding up? And do you have make sure that you won't get thrown out later?
I have no idea whether okay, because today I see this thing here, but yeah, today to be honest I didn't, and again this name is also constantly coming and leaving, and but today yeah I missed telling them that at 11:30 I want somebody to be there. I didn't tell them.
Are they there still or they're not there anymore?
I don't know. No worries. You can exchange emails with me and clarify your questions.
Yeah,
and I think
I have that one question only for work definition, but otherwise I'm okay on the previous trials.
I think I already sent that question to you, Deepti, that changing resources on work definition. I think that's what we both had that issue.
Okay, we'll see that. And I don't think I have
one question. I had a different question. Two of us, two different questions.
We'll see those because I don't like. We have close to 2 hours from now, like less than just 10 minutes, less than 2 hours. So I don't think I have a 2-hour agenda. Again, depends on how the group progresses, and I'm okay to let it spill over.
I mean, we'd like to do a quick check on those 2 issues.
Sure. And even if the session ends, Dilip, don't worry. You can just mail me your issues, and I'll keep responding.
Okay. Sure.
Okay.
Dilip?
I will respond to your email too, Rao. No partiality here. So, okay, let's go back. So, where were we? Okay, we finished our cost profile and I put the screenshot of default cost profile.
So this one works well when you go in this sequence?
Yeah.
Because
so this is also this is something Oracle has done very good. So any area where you go, if you see the required task, it's kind of sequentially organized, and I don't always like that. That's what I heard in some, either in a presentation or in a document somewhere. I don't necessarily follow it. I even follow my logical thoughts, but that is what is said, that if it is done this way, so Oracle did it, and this was also like way after the release, way after release 11, release 13, they did this.
And I knew it would help to be guided, but afterwards it doesn't matter. Afterwards it's okay, once you're not new.
Yeah. But especially in costing and all, I think it's a lifesaver because you saw so many elements it has that suddenly when I would be confused that where is an evaluation structure used, whether it's used in element or here or profile, it's very confusing. So this is a good idea that you just go, sequentially.
So one question now, manage cost profile. One question, important question, cost profile. Looks like we attach a cost. You don't have to open that, but it looks like you attach the cost profile at the item level, correct? To an item.
You have to. I don't think we did that yet.
Right, but that means that you can attach different profiles to different items in the same org.
Different profiles to different orgs.
So at each item you assign one profile, and it could be different for different items.
Yeah, I think until she goes to the pages, we cannot visualize that.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
even
Let's
to be
do
honest,
that at that point.
even I'm unable to visualize that. Like what you're saying, kind of. I mean, I
Okay.
get your
When you
question.
go to the screen where you attach a profile to the item, at that time we'll see.
So I think we are already in that screen.
Oh, okay. Okay.
One second, I'm going to show you because I know, okay, I don't know whether this is so this is an important kind of, you can say fields, because if you set this to auto, if you're creating new items in that org and this is set to auto, they will automatically have the cost profile attached.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Again, this part I have not
talking about. Can you tell me which org you are talking about, or all the orgs in the cost org?
correct. All the orgs belonging to this cost org. Remember we did that mapping in the earlier setup page. All the inventory organizations which belong to this cost org. So what I'm doing now, I'm creating a default cost profile. In the cost profile, I'm associating the cost org, the cost book. You can choose a category name and new item profile creation, whether you want auto or there's to be a manual option also. Okay.
I think what it is if you have the same cost structure across the inventory orgs within that cost org, then you can go for auto. Otherwise, you have to go with a review because it will change, am I right, for each org, the cost structure.
So they gave you one more level, right? Category. So suppose you decide to add a category and you want that all items with this category will follow this profile. That's why you can use auto. So they've given you a different level to increase. And like you said, you might want to put review. And there was also an option called manual and auto. Maybe in this page it's just showing review and later on it's manual and auto.
Can I see what values under the category, please? Category name.
Right now category is showing blank.
Item categories, right? Item categories.
Yeah.
Okay.
So again, it could be this instance thing.
It is item class. What you said could be is equal or is it different?
No, not item class. Item category.
Item class is different. Item class is different. Catalog is different, and categories are different.
I have some knowledge of him. I implemented one thing. Item category and item class, the way you are telling is both the same. In Teams is called item class category. ICC.
No.
Raj, please study it further. I think you study the class, okay? It's separate. Or maybe even look up the manual. We have not spent enough time on it, but it needs to be studied separately.
Yeah.
It's completely different. Item class is like so item class is the first thing that we create when we do a PIM setup, okay? That defines your numbering.
Under root, am I right? So typically people do under root.
No. We don't do under root in implementations. See, for training and all, we avoid additional setup which is not required for the course. But if you go for a PIM training course, they have to show you item class creation and what all are the attributes under item class.
Correct. That's what is called ICC. Correct.
Okay. So here, if you have an asset cost profile, you can attach. If you have expense cost profiles, you can attach consigned cost profiles.
So what are we doing here? We are creating a new profile, or we're just...
We are creating a default cost profile.
But that means the cost profile has already been created.
And here in this default, so again, this is honestly, I'm not very clear here, but I believe this is a required step. And so this is the only place, if you notice, we are linking our cost org and cost book. Okay, though the name is confusing, when we say default cost profile, how we understand the cost profile I've already created. I'm just doing some default here, right?
So what is the name of the cost profile here?
No. Okay, good question. I don't know.
Okay.
Okay, here, standard cost. So what I did is, it pulled up from everything. See, I'm doing this after so long, I'm kind of losing it. So what we did is, in our cost org setup, we associated certain things, and then our cost book setup, then our expense cost profile. In our cost profile, we had set this. So because I chose this profile, I got all these details what I had set up in my cost profile. Remember?
Okay, so those are the values that we saw in the previous screen.
Right? Correct. And in this screen, which calls default cost profile, we are linking our cost profile to the cost book to the cost org.
Okay, so the upper section is additional fields.
But the section is additional fields. No.
Additional
Okay,
to
let
the
me
cost
come back.
profile.
No,
Additional
no,
to
no,
the
no.
cost profile.
Let me come back from the beginning. Okay, let's take this from once again. First, we'll see the cost profile screen.
Right.
If you see, this is the cost profile we just created. I'll
Right.
just do an edit. So here we only created a cost profile called standard cost. We
Yeah.
chose the costing method as standard. We did all this. Okay.
Yeah.
Now we are setting something called default cost method. I think I can say that this default cost profile is the default cost profile for that cost org. Okay?
Okay.
Which is the cost org?
Here, whichever you select. So I am selecting the test cost org, the org that we use.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the test. I named my cost org also as test cost org, but you can use a different name. I mean, this is not the inventory org. Don't confuse, okay? This is a cost org. I should have used a different name. So normally, yeah, we use CST and all that. And then the cost book that we created.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And how do you want the new items to deal with? I want it auto. And I had created an expense cost profile. If you create an expense and asset both, link both of them here. But earlier while we were going through, I only created an expense type of standard cost. So this is all so this section is the additional section I can say which is coming from the previous setup. Okay?
Yeah, so this is no edit in that one, no entry in that one. It's just to display.
Correct. Because this and if you have a cost here also, there'll be one more section. Okay, let me add this. This was there. So okay, see here. This is the asset cost profile section. This is the expense cost profile section.
Where
so
it is coming from?
The previous screen. So we just saw the cost profile screen. We created this cost profile, this one.
Okay.
And you ideally will also be creating an asset cost profile. So in this default cost profile, you are linking your cost or cost book to your cost profiles that you have created. Okay. And we can click save and close.
So the default is actually a combination of various things, not just the profile.
Yeah, it's not just it's a default. It's a default cost profile for that cost org. So every cost org should definitely have one primary cost book and cost profiles. So cost profile is also a mandatory step. Here you are bringing everything together. So far we did little setups so that here we bring them all together.
Right. This cost profile brings everything together?
Default cost profile. This is called, actually this is also a good indication, right? So here in the required task, this thing came manage default. So apart from cost profile, you also have to do default cost profile. Honestly, I think the name of the setup task can be better. The name is pretty confusing. But yeah, just follow the sequence, finish your cost profile and also do the default cost profile.
Right.
Okay. And there's also something called valuation units. This is also to, calculate the cost at, it's something to do with valuation structure, how the valuation structure is going to use every element or something like that. I'm forgetting. How it's going to run your costing, something like that it was. Okay, we can create one valuation unit, manage evaluation unit.
What is conceptually, what is it?
I'm not able to explain you well. Maybe I can take this as a note that I'm going to send you later.
Okay.
This is also your valuation structure runs based on this unit, something like that. So here you have your valuation structure code that we had defined.
Okay, you're in create screen, not in search screen. Okay.
Yeah, I'm in create screen. Wait, I just... Oh, so this is, remember we selected this, the different levels, the evaluation structure levels, and if we select something else here, it will come as cost org, inventory org, and sub inventory.
Yeah,
okay,
so we need some time to understand this a bit.
Yeah, I'm I'll tell you the exact verbiage of what is a valuation unit, but valuation unit is kind of uses your valuation structure that we created, and valuation
Okay.
structure is this level: the cost org, inventory org, sub inventory, cost org, inventory org, and the serial. Remember locators that we had seen. So it uses this.
So essentially it is to attach the valuation structure. That's the primary purpose of this.
And the accounting again. So here, if you have your account combinations defined, you can have them here.
Account combination. Mm-hmm.
I think here it will show you the segment in the no. Right now we have these two segments in the because we are using this cost org, inventory org, and here you can have your values for this cost org.
These
Whatever
are segments for what?
Remember, in our cost org, we did not attach inventory organizations. That's because my previous setup was with a different LE. So if my mapping, the cost org and inventory org mapping had been right, here I'll have the segment values.
I think no, it is very clear, man. Now after looking at the screen.
So this is where you attach the inventory org to the cost org.
Based on the level of your structure, you have to associate the values.
Correct. So here, what would have come? So let me show you so that it will become clear. So one of our setups is not fully done. Okay, I'll show you this relationship. So here what I'm doing is, in this relationship I relate my cost org to my inventory orgs, right?
Oh, yeah,
so in our cost org, because my legal entity here is not right, our test org is not appearing here. Had this been correct, okay, if all the relationship here is correct, then in this, because I'm selecting the profile that we had, profile, or what is it called, segment value or something, it's what is it called, valuation, one second, structure mode, valuation structure code. The valuation structure, remember we defined, we had a different valuation structure like cost org, inventory org, or cost org, inventory org, sub inventory. That's when we had all the excitement about.
Right.
Yeah, so here if I select that, like my expense was here, it will give you. So whatever we selected in this cost org and inventory org, I would have had all the combinations of my cost org and inventory org here as segment values. It's just because that mapping is blank, this is blank. Okay.
So what is valuation unit?
Value, no, I can't recall what is it. Yeah, no, even I can't recall. I can send you. I will make a note of this.
I think it is only org level. You selected cost org level. Inventory org.
I can't remember what is valuation.
No, it is very clear. You go to the plus sign and you will see only those values will pop up. I think I know what it is.
No, this valuation unit, this which is a free text.
That is based on batch size. It could be one typically, but it could be anything.
Okay.
Yeah, it was, you had put in 10 in fact before. Yeah.
First I put in 10, now I put in 1, but yeah, what exactly do you explain for it? I don't know.
Yeah, actually it is basically you are associating a structure to an org, sub-inventory, whatever level you are doing that. So that's what it is. So in that also we have the flexibility of giving. This is where really you are defining. Actually earlier our cost methodology at inventory org level. Now this is at a very granular level the cost structure could be defined. So you are defining multiple things based on the batch size and structure, and then associate them, right? Then you add items or item classes, item categories.
Right. So here, like I said, it's very modular, very modular.
Yeah, this is where you really the implementation of that whole thing.
Okay.
Can you put the plus sign? Can you please the plus sign, please? Yeah, I'll take a screenshot. This is very critical thing.
Did I not save it? I thought I saved it. Okay. Oh, we didn't have a segment value, so I couldn't save it. Okay.
Yeah, I couldn't save it. You had to do cancel.
So
you want a plus sign where? You want it here in account code?
Yes. Put that and click on that. Context. Take the context.
No, context is again we didn't define, right? This is for flexi.
Okay, the value, segment values. Put it.
segment values will be these two. So these two.
Correct, correct. Just leave it there. Leave it there. That's
Okay.
enough.
If I had 3 segment values, 3 would come in here.
Correct, correct. That is what is the implementation of the cost whole structure. Go ahead.
Correct.
So you have to define multiple for in an org.
Well, Rahul, there are many screens.
Yeah.
There are many screens, and you'll have to go and practice them.
Yeah. And again, the calculations, see, basically now with this, we are done with all our setup for costing, okay? Now to evaluate the transactions and the item cost is a different level of all calculations, okay? So just because I knew in this 2 hours, 3 hours, we will not be able to complete it, so I did not get into the depth of all that. So initially this session I had actually planned it for 2 days, and then I was asked to cut it down. So I just put in all setups.
You covered it very nicely in a short time.
As long as you guys can understand, that's good.
Well, it's an introduction. We'll have to practice a bit to understand further. But can you show where you attach to the item, attach the profile to the item?
This is all basically the item category that we are associating. That's what does it. And then because we made it auto, so we made it in that org, we made it auto, right? So all the items that are getting created will get associated.
So if you select manual, then you would have to go and change, enter it there, right?
Yeah, 1 second.
If it was not auto, then you get a place to enter it somewhere.
I don't know where that is. Item cost, item profile options, that is different.
Can you go to the cost profiles? Can you open the cost profile screen, please? Yeah.
1 second. Here, okay, here we have manage item cost profile.
Item cost profile, okay.
We have a setup called manage item cost profiles. So if you go in here and then you search for your cost org. Okay, right now because we didn't do this. Okay, here you can come and associate your items individually. But what I'm not.
Yeah, so that's what it means.
Individually, if you have hundreds of items, I can't come here and do this 100 items manually, right? It doesn't even look like.
No, but if you can use the default, the auto rule, and then come here for some items, change it.
Okay, yeah, because and again, right now my items list is blank again because my inventory organizations are not associated to this cost org. Okay?
Actually, let me tell you one thing. Is there any way to import these things? This last cost structure and all. Is there any way we can import?
You want to import the cost structure?
No, that's a setup. You don't need to import it.
No. That's create valuation units. That is among us activity will be there. Can we do that? Import of that? Create valuation units.
I didn't see an option to have an import. I know you can export standard cost. Suppose you want standard cost through an Excel, you have an Excel bulk option of importing standard costs. Or exporting standard cost. That's the one feature is there. But these setups, no, I don't think so. So in setups, again, that's a concept across all Fusion applications, which most implementation partners are not confident and they don't really use it. We don't really use it in prod. But if you want to move setups between lower instances, we use it. So there's again a whole concept of configuration package and all. So using a configuration package, you can download setups from this instance and then import it into another instance. That is an option that Oracle has given you.
Okay, so you can manage from one instance to another instance. Okay.
But again, it's not too clean and it's not very user friendly yet, and sometimes it results in a lot of errors. So most implementation consultants, we don't use it, especially for prod, we never use it. Within lower instances, sometimes I've used. I once migrated all sub-inventories because that time sub-inventories didn't have the bulk load
Sorry,
page.
I think the connection is not good. Maybe I'm not. The voice is breaking up.
Oh. Is it clear now? I'll just try to go a little more slowly also. Are you able to hear me?
Now I can hear.
The question is, this item cost import is there. So can you show one piece of item cost somewhere? Can you show us one example of item cost?
I didn't complete the setup, Rao. I did,
But-
because so
Okay, but
basically with
before,
this, yeah, please Dilip, tell me.
yeah, so regarding the cost profile, it seems to be a very elaborate thing, very big thing, that you can attach different cost profiles to different items. And that leads to a lot of confusion in my mind, because one cost profile is, let us say, related to standard cost, and another one is related to average cost. And are we going to have different items following different costing methods in the same org? That's a very strange question, actually. I don't know whether it really permits that. Because I never thought that that could happen, but looks like if they're given that flexibility, does it mean that each item will follow its own costing pattern? Wow.
Why do you say that, Dilip? At what level we are controlling cost?
You can attach different cost profiles to different items, correct? So if one cost profile is associated to one particular, say, average costing, and the other one is attached to standard costing, then in the same org you have different items behaving differently. And that seems very, very unique to me. I mean, very strange to me.
But does business really have such requirements? I mean, again,
It is not, but the system permits it itself seems to be very great thing, very big thing. I'm not sure it's good or not, but it's a very big thing.
Actually, I'll tell you one thing. There are many requirements to move standard cost to average cost to standard cost. A lot of people got this requirement. I know. So, but they typically move from one to another altogether for an org. They don't do by item. So, this will be useful for moving. You know, you can.
No, you can't change within an org. You cannot change, and you cannot change the costing pattern once it's set up. And similarly, I think
you can disable and you can enable. Am I right? Another one, another cost profile for same item.
No, another org, another item, but same item. I don't think in this same item you can change the cost profile. Once you set it up, I don't think that you should be able to change it. Not at least when there are transactions. Maybe before transactions, maybe it allows, but.
That is the question to Deepti. You know, can we change cost profile for one item after some transactions?
Firstly, I believe you should not be able to, but I don't remember how how the screen will behave.
Yeah,
like, does it grey it out? But I should believe it should not, because that will create a huge mess. That will be a havoc in the system.
Can you embed the cost profile? How do you embed the cost profile for an item?
Do we have a date here? I don't remember.
No. How can you end it? Come on. The item has to have a cost profile. You can't just end it. Yeah,
if you want your items, this is a required step, by the way. If you are wanting your items to be costed, this is a required step. Your items should have, if they can have the item, they can get the item cost profile through auto that we set. That's okay. You don't have to manually come and do it. Right. But it is required.
Right.
For example, today in my current environment for the org, I have certain type of cost structure, cost profile. Tomorrow I decided I need to capture more additional details and I need a different structure and different cost profile.
No, you cannot do that. You cannot do that.
Not a common requirement in costing.
No. That you can't change the method. Say that.
Yeah, I've not seen, like, normally you never change, because that's the reason the requirements for costing and all kind of pretty much stay as your as a system, or they're very clear about how they want.
No, actually, practically I have seen there are projects, assignments on costing guys. We want to move our cost org from average to standard. Come on over. I know the steps to do that also in EBS.
No, you have to create a new org and move everything to the new org. You can't change it in an existing org.
Dilip, I think I don't want to discuss further, but there is a process to do that. Yeah.
Right, but the process involves things like that.
Yeah.
I understand that, but the process is a little complicated.
A lot of script updates and a lot of things. There's steps about complex 20-25 steps are there to do that. Yeah.
Yes, they will be. It will be very complex. Yes.
So here also there should be a way to end date, am I right? A cost profile or update a cost profile. Can you update a cost profile?
No.
I don't think so, because you can create new cost profile, right? So don't use the existing one again. We can see the screen.
That is good then. If you can create a new cost profile for the same item, then
No, you can't attach it. You can't change it at the item level, even if you create a new
Not
item.
with item. See, cost profile is different. Again, here it's very modular. Cost profile is different. Item cost profile is different. This is a cost profile. So I don't see an end date kind of an option, but yeah, I can create new one and associate the new one to the like either to the new item or
To
whatever.
new items, not to existing
Yeah,
items.
not to existing items. Even I don't believe that should be an option. But what if there's a category thing? Again, I don't know.
I think we are confused. I think this is still a definition level. We need to get to item cost profile level. I think, yeah.
Item cost profile is right below this. We went to item cost profile now, right? So we saw the cost profile, and now here is the item cost profile. One second, I'm just opening the item cost profile. So, oh sorry.
I think you do cost profile, not just profile.
Manage item profile options. What
No,
is
not,
it? Manage?
you need cost profile, not.
Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah, you got it.
In the first
There,
one.
yeah.
It's
Yeah.
there.
So what you saw before was the cost profile. This is the item cost profile. This is the item cost profile where you can associate your profiles also. Basically, whatever we select here in this asset cost profile, expense cost profile, that will be listed here. That's it.
Got it. Can we see one record on this?
No, I don't have the setup now. My cost book and items it does not have inventory org, so it's not setting it up.
Yeah. Can you see at least the elements on this? Can you just see?
You cannot go here. Like, okay, one second, I'll show you till where I can go.
Yeah, unless
So
you
I
select
select your
item.
cost org and cost book. So using these two, the inventory orgs that are associated to this cost org, the items only related to that inventory org will appear here. But because I don't have inventory orgs, no item is appearing here.
Basically, this is where you define item cost, am I right?
This is an item cost profile.
Profile, yeah. So what structure an item will have? Cost profile. What kind of item structure, cost structure it will have for an item? That's what it is, am I right?
Sorry, can you repeat?
This defines what kind of a cost structure that item will have. For example, a product, a procurement product can have, you don't need labor cost, am I right? It costs only item material cost and then overhead costs, material overhead costs, and maybe some profit margin or some other miscellaneous.
That will go by once you select the cost profile here, everything attached to the cost profile will be
Correct.
attached.
That's what I was explaining. So that's what it is, am I right? This is so we're associating a structure to an item cost. Am I right? That's what you are doing here.
What do you mean by structure? I don't get the word structure.
That means this particular item, procured item A, will have only material cost, overhead, and some miscellaneous overhead.
Right. Correct.
That is a component group. When you attach the component group, then you got it.
Yes. And that component group was there in our profiles and all, right?
Right.
So basically, using all those little setups, we come up to profile, and then you associate your profiles everywhere. Okay?
So you're associating the cost structure per item here. Each item needs to be associated.
Yes.
Okay. This is a lot of activity. Okay.
Okay, anyway, I think it's good. Yeah. Can move on.
Okay, so this was all.
I will take this structure actually, screenshot of this. So this is where you really, I think manage item cost profiles. I think we took it. Got it. Thank you.
Okay, so basically this was all the costing related setup that we did. So once you're set with all this, whatever transactions, inventory transactions or receipt transactions or any transactions you have will get costed. Okay, but you be ensured to run those scheduled jobs that I had mentioned earlier. Okay, so this was mainly about the costing module, I can say. Okay, now I have just like put in some things related to costing for manufacturing. Just to touch upon some key points, some of them we have already covered during our manufacturing things. Like in resources, we saw that there's a flag. Like in work definitions, we have seen that there's a flag costing enabled. In resources, we have seen. We're just going to see all of that again. Okay. So for your work definitions to be costed, you should have your work definition costing priority set, and whichever is the least priority number, like least number, like 1 is what is treated as the highest. So I'm just going to the work execution screen so that I can show you the work definition screen, so that I can show you what I'm trying to say here. So I'm seeing the work definition names. Sorry, not the work definition. I should be seeing the work definitions.
Yeah, okay. If you are here, then we would like to ask that question also, which I had.
Sure, sure.
Let me know when you're finished.
Okay, so what I was showing you here is your work definition should have a costing priority. If it does not have a costing priority, these transactions will not interface to costing. Okay, so from a manufacturing perspective, for costing, this and the resources, these are the two setups that you need to do. So when we set up our resources in manage resources,
so priority for what? If the priority is low, what happens?
It will take the next priority. So if you have a priority, like if you have just 2 and 3 priority defined, it will take priority 2. Like I think for cost processing automatically.
In terms of what? While in the processing?
Yes, yes. So basically, so it should know what material. So when you're doing, okay, see if you're doing work order costing, it will see whatever quantity of resources or components you have consumed, right? When you're doing a cost planning, you kind of need to know, right, what work definition you should consume. I'm just planning the cost for a component. We'll see that, it will come ahead.
Well, so I don't understand this, because normally it goes by the date and time and costs accordingly. So in this case, you're saying that it's going to take up separately, and anyway, costing is done periodically. So only what's there in those few minutes or few hours are what's going to get costed at any point of time. So how does this priority help? Because everything that's available at that point of time will get costed, and something arriving few hours later will get costed later.
So tell me, what if you have one more work definition here which has a costing priority of 2? Like it has a different work definition.
For the same item, multiple work definitions.
Correct, correct.
Okay, so that's
you can have, but you have to define this priority as some number, otherwise costing will not consider this.
Okay. So that's a priority among work definitions.
Yeah, if you had multiple work definitions, so suppose I define this like this: the transactions, these work orders which are using this work definition will not interface to costing. So whatever work orders I create for this FG using this work definition will not get costed.
But if something has lower priority, what does that mean? If there are 2 work orders for FG, one with
so okay, I'll tell you.
Work definition and another work definition, and both have transactions. So you're saying that one will be costed first and then the other?
So costing will always refer to the costing priority 1. But when you're doing a cost planning and all, you can choose whichever work definition versions you want. Like if there are different work definition versions here, you can select from different one. But when costing runs, it will always refer to the costing priority 1.
Can we change these priorities time to time?
Yeah, remember I came here and
I still didn't understand how it will help, because if cost processing is being done every few minutes or every few hours, then everything available at that point of time is going to be taken up, and something that is processed later will be taken up later. So I don't know how it helps.
Dilip, let me explain you. It's my guess.
not the
It's
same.
my guess. Let me explain you. It is equivalent to frozen cost. Number one is that it taken as a frozen cost, which will be used for transactions. 2 and 3, I think remaining priorities will be for simulation purpose.
Oh, so the value should always be 1, the lowest value should always be 1 and not 10.
Correct.
So one has a particular significance.
Okay. We are saying the lowest value always has to be 1 and not 10.
Yeah, that's
I
what
have
I'm
always
asking.
used 1. Basically you can use the lowest value, whatever is the lowest value in the system. It need not be, I won't say need not be 1, because whatever I've heard, but yeah, it's as a general practice I've always used 1. But whatever is the lowest in the system is what is the costing.
So
is
when
what is
would we not use 1? When would we use something else?
when you have multiple versions. If I have another version of a work definition which is a little different, like an alternate work definition, an alternate structure, or a rework work structure, or a, what do you say,
And it has transactions.
yes. So that will be costing priority 2.
Okay. So what if the deposit from that, the work order completion of that takes place first, and then later, a few minutes later, the one attached to the priority 1 work definition, then it gets completed. So you're saying that the second one will be costed first compared to the first one? I don't understand that.
What? No, I didn't understand your question, but yeah, you're very confused.
No, if there are 2 work orders, one of them is coming from a work definition of priority 1, and the second work order is coming from a work definition of costing priority 5. And now let us say the one with the costing priority 5 gets completed first, and a few hours later the one with the costing priority 1 gets completed. So we are saying that the one with the priority 5 will wait for the one with priority 1.
Nothing like waiting. Okay, so what I think happens, again, I've never done such a scenario, but what I think happens is costing is done always based on the lower priority one, that is costing priority 1. Costing will consider that and process. Now whatever you have as an actual against the work order which used costing priority 5 will go into adjustments and variances. But costing will always refer to the 1. When costing is processing, the cost processor.
Yeah, I mean, when the cost processor runs periodically, it must cost everything available at that point of time in whatever sequence.
So it will cost only the transactions which are interfaced to costing, right?
Yeah.
So it could be that you're interfacing both your costing 1 and costing 5 at one go, because that job, when it's running, it's picking both these transactions.
Right.
The time is not too critical here. It's just about what is costing going to look at. So this is again not to overload the cost processor. Like if you see, even we have this production priority 1, and so only the ones with production priority 1 is considered by GOP and planning. It's just so that if I have 10 versions of the work definition, I don't overload my planning engine with 10 versions. Planning will run on the first version. Similarly, cost processing will run on the least version, least number. Okay, it's just so that you don't overload your integrating applications processors.
Okay, let's leave it. I've not fully understood the requirement, but let's leave it.
Quick question here.
Sure.
When you do a cost planning, you have an option of changing the cost priority?
No. But cost planning, yes. In cost planning, I think I've seen that. When you do a cost planning, you can. But when you're doing a cost processing, that's not in your hands. Costing will automatically refer it.
So my second question, I understood that. Then the second question is, if I have work in process transactions, I have not synced up to the costing org. What will happen at the point of a time when I am doing the cost transfer from inventory to cost org? Whatever the version you have current, that will be considered at that time for processing. Am I right?
No. Costing will look at the first this costing priority 1.
Correct.
So what costing will see is,
Costing
okay,
priority, I can keep changing, am I right? Let us say that I have 10 transactions. I have not transferred it. I have
No, it will come when you create the web job. At that time, it will pick it up from the work definition. I don't think it will change afterwards.
Let me ask this question, Dilip, please. So when I created a work job, but costing priority is given in work definition.
I don't think so. Yeah, costing priority is given in work definition.
But it will carry over to the work order.
The cost definition is copied to work order, right?
Yes.
So when I am transferring it, same thing will be taken. Meanwhile, if I change the cost priority of the same thing, I made 2 as 1 and 1 as 2. Let us say for the same item. What is the impact?
See, I'm first trying to see here, because what I think the cost, what we were saying, the work order does not have a cost, does not have a costing priority. I'm just trying to double check once again.
Yeah, no, it will not. It will be hidden. It will not be displayed. It will carry it over from the work definition, but not available to you to change it here.
The modularity is coming only there, right? So modular, how are they controlling it? If they start showing that in work order level, you will keep modifying, and it's going to mess up the system.
Right.
So
You cannot
the control,
modify.
yeah, the control is only in the work definition. The
Right.
control is not in the work order. And what is there in the work order, you don't even know, you don't even care. Costing.
No, and work order has copied a lot of information from the work definition when it was created. So I'm sure this also must be part of that.
No, I don't think so. I don't think costing information is copied. Like if you see production priority,
Okay.
production priority will not get copied, right?
No,
Production
okay.
priority is only, okay, production priority is copied here. But okay, let's
Right.
quickly create a work order. Will it show the costing priority also? Maybe just so that it refers, but you will not be able to edit it.
Right.
So
Okay.
see, like I said, just understand it is that you don't want to overload your cost processor with multiple versions. You can have multiple versions. You can keep them, but you don't want to overload your cost processor. Similar, the planning engine, you don't want to overload
One
it.
at a time. What is current at that time? That's what it's going to use.
There's no current, na? Where is the current? There's no current. So in order to avoid that current and that integration, so again, how will costing know the current one? Tell me. It has to first send a web service request. So in the background, okay, everything is a web service. And in the background, this is a separate application, this is a separate application. It's just that both these applications are in the Oracle Fusion space. So if costing needs any information, it has to do a web service call in the background, right? So what it's doing is, it is just referring to the costing priority 1. It is not going to keep getting the latest version.
Actually, are you getting it, the cost definition in work order?
I don't see. No.
I don't think so.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Separate issue. Am I right?
That's what I'm saying. It will not come. It will only come from your work definition.
That is correct. That is correct. It will not come. It will be considered when the transfer happens from inventory up to cost of.
From whenever you transfer from inventory to costing, what costing knows is this is the work order, this is the work definition, then it goes and it sees, okay, the work definition is costing priority 1, let me use it. So it gets the work definition's name and it gets all the details of the work definition. And it starts following this work definition.
Where is the cost priority here in the work definition?
Here, I'll show you. Here, costing priority.
Oh man.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
So similarly, you can have with
Okay.
production priority too.
Okay, let's not, it's not fully understood, but let's not continue on this topic. So let's, now while you're on work definition, can you?
One second, I'll just show you the resources, then I'll be done with the mandatory setup. So when you create a resource also, you see, you're putting this costing enabled. That's
Right.
only when these resources, if you don't click this checkbox,
Right.
you cannot cost the resources. Again,
Yeah,
these
that
are
is
all
as in
to,
EDS. Yeah.
yeah, this is
Same,
all again to modularity and the information overload. Okay. Yeah. Now you can ask your question. Tell me.
Okay, go to manage work definitions. And so what happened was that I created a new work definition, and I was able to, it showed me the first operation, and then I was able to add resources and I was able to add materials by drag and drop. Okay. And then when I tried to drag and drop a new operation, it just wouldn't do that because I'm dragging and dropping, it's not getting dropped. So I was unable to do that. I tried quite a lot, but I was not able to add the second operation. Right.
The second operation you couldn't add?
Yeah, I couldn't. Now let's say there are 3 operations, 10, 20, 30. Now I want to add another operation. How do I do that?
Okay. Firstly, because this is a already published work.
No publishing. Even before publishing, I wanted to do it.
Okay.
How do you publish it? Where is the publish step?
Publish in the sense it's already saved and it has a version. Like it's not a new one, right?
No, but the moment I created first operation, it got saved, and now I'm trying to add second operation. So are you saying that it's already been published?
No.
So, but it got saved, so it's not allowing me to add a second operation. Yeah, correct. Same thing happening. Yes, absolutely. Same screen.
Okay, just change your browser. We'll run it on another browser. These browsers are too much in Fusion. Just change your browser.
That's an easy solution.
Sometimes the screen just doesn't load fully. So if you see the screen just didn't load.
No, I tried many times, but of course I didn't change the browser.
To be honest, of late we are here getting a lot of these issues. Suddenly certain pages don't open. They won't open in one browser, and then if you just change your browser, it'll open.
Okay, fine.
I'm just opening in a new browser so that I can show you that also.
Yeah.
But it's very I mean, I'm with a guess I can say that it should be a browser issue. And then suddenly
but what happens now if operation 30 is saying that it's depositing to inventory? So now, but will it allow me to add on operation 40, which I don't want? I want that operation to be done. So it's going to change that deposit to inventory, completion to inventory.
What I didn't understand. Repeat.
I think in operation 30 probably is marked as the next task is deposit to inventory, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's try it here. See, it doesn't work here also.
Right in the middle. It might be slow. So here.
No, it doesn't come. See? Right. I see this, but I can't do anything further after that.
Can you delete one operation?
Yes, you can. Here, delete. Okay. I'm just going to open the CVNA.
Go to edit.
Edit is only to edit the operations, whatever.
For example, the operation resources, can I edit?
But right now I'm in the operation, so I can edit this operation. I can change the work center. I can do whatever.
Right.
How do you got this? How do you click it? Navigation for edit?
Edit. Just you click on the operation, and then I right click here inside the box. So you have either information or action.
Okay.
So actually this should load like this. Information should load at the bottom with an action.
Correct.
I think that's what you're not getting. Yes.
It's purely a browser issue, nothing else. It's just
the same problem I am getting. Okay, got it.
Okay. I was stuck on this issue for quite some time.
Now, of late, like I said, there's too many browser issues. There's so many pages that I keep jumping on browsers because it just wouldn't open.
Okay.
And that too, in fact, you're trying a fresh work order.
Yeah, fresh work definition. Yeah.
Work definition. Sorry, I'm trying a existing one. So, but it'll allow. And
so what is it about publishing? So it should not allow you after publishing?
No, nothing like that. Like when your work order is already in use, you create a new version, right? So that you can indent the previous version.
Okay.
That's it, just the version.
Okay.
So the word you are using, publish, means it is saved under that version, right? That's what you call publish.
Yeah. Publish is not really the right word. I just accidentally used it. I meant saved. Like my work definition is already saved. There are work orders already against this. So when there are already work orders against this, you always create a new version, right?
Okay, fine.
That's all is what I meant. My publish was just like a
not as The sixth step. Okay.
That's
Okay. You are having the same issue, yeah. Okay.
no, it isn't doing.
It's okay. It's all right. It's a problem. It's supposed to work anyway, so it's all right.
Yeah. It's supposed to work. Okay, so so basically, yeah. Okay, I'll come to this. So what is cost planning in for manufacturing? What you do, like I was saying, um, so you perform a cost roll up. Typically, this is mainly used for configured items or for whatever. So for any assembly, okay. So from the work definition, you take all the components and all, like what components you're using, then the item cost for those components, then resource and overheads again you're using from the work definition, what resources you have used, then the overhead rates and resource rates you're using. You're performing a cost roll up, and for that cost roll up, you can calculate the actual cost which you're going to be incurring for that assembly. And if you are satisfied with this, you can publish the cost to costing. Okay, and I put this just to say that this whole process, so firstly whatever we have put in gray here in this box comes from manufacturing. This all is kind of costing components. Like by components I mean these are in the costing area is what you do this, and this is the integration between manufacturing and costing. You can view it like that. Like manufacturing gives you the details, costing does this, and if you're not happy with the output, you keep changing something. You can keep changing your resource rates or resources or overhead, and then so that you know at what cost your assembly is going to be, like what the final assembly, what is it going to cost you. Okay, if you're not happy with that, you can keep making changes to the resources or to the items or components so that you arrive at your desirable cost. So I put this two arrows just to show that you can keep iterating it till you arrive for your actual cost. Whenever you are happy with your actual cost, you can publish them. Okay.
Now, quick question on this slide. So it is exactly similar to costing, okay? Yeah, standard costing. Oh, except, is there any, when you are doing a cost roll up and all, are you doing to different priority or cost priority? Or what priority will be rolling up the cost?
From the work definition you're using, na? Here you can specify the work definition you're using. So whatever is the priority from the work definition, you're just consuming the work definition. Here costing priority doesn't really matter.
So the question is, I am running already. It is a running live site, and I am already using cost one, and you're still running here cost roll-ups. So you mean to say up to cost roll-up function, it won't hit the actual transactions. So when
even till here, there's a separate publish even till your actual costs are calculated, it doesn't hit the costing unless there's a explicit action called publish. From here I can put one more arrow and say publish. Only then it goes into the actual books of costing. So this is just the cost planning that you're doing for your assembly items. Okay.
Can I have
cost roll-up?
Can I have different costs for different cost priorities for the same work definition?
Different cost for?
I'm simulating this. Cost roll-up means what I'm doing is I am assessing the cost is right or wrong. I made 10% overhead and I ran a cost roll-up, and I'm not happy with that. I made 15% of this thing. So can I have multiple roll-ups for the same work definition? And can I compare them, or is it at one time only one cost priority need to be cost rolled up?
No, you're confusing a lot of things here. See, cost roll-up you're doing for your assemblies, right? So for that assembly, we are seeing how that assembly is made. What all you're using to make that assembly. You're using components, you're using resources, at what rate you're using them, at what cost you're using them. Then you do a roll-up of the assembly, like different item costs, different levels. It can have multiple levels, right?
I am with you up to this. I was same lines. But
correct.
In costing, what it does is, whatever you said is right. for a particular simulation. Then I wanted to compare this simulation versus another simulation for the same finished good.
For the same
A different
finished good,
version.
then if you have a different work definition, you can use that.
No, same
So-
work definition, but cost priority too. Can I do that?
I have not seen that. Again, if the system is, but system had, I think it had a column called costing priority. So if you have a column called costing priority, you can. But if this, I think it had one. It had.
Correct. So they do simulate. This is what I'm asking. So do you simulate same work order under different cost items, different cost parameters, and a roll up, and you will publish only one to the actual cost. Am I right?
Hmm.
When you are doing it, you have to update the costing priority to one because that will get considered by costing.
Yes, yes, definitely.
I
So
think that's
costing
what.
costing will always consider priority one. See, if you are publishing this, I think it gets published as it is. Okay. So suppose from here, like I said, this I can draw one more arrow and say publish. So if I'm publishing from here, what I've calculated here will get published. But because this is cost planning, remember that. But when there are work orders getting created, the work orders can be because of some planned supplies or because of back-to-back. When work orders are getting created and they are going into transfer transactions from production to costing, it will always refer to costing priority one.
Correct.
Here,
So,
I'm choosing what I want. There, I cannot choose.
so I did a roll up of one, priority one. Again, I did a roll up for same supplementary two, and I made a roll up of three. I decided to publish three. How I do that?
Publish three where?
To the
You
production.
want? Then go change
No,
for
I
that
think
one. You keep the production priority one, na? So when you're defining your work definition, you change that to production costing priority one, so that when work orders are automatically created on that, the work orders which go into costing will get costed at that rate.
Then what happens to one? If I'm say, updating number 3 to 1, then I have 1 and 2 and 3. If I update 3 to 1, what happens to the 1? It will
No,
override?
you have to change it. There can be only one in the system. You cannot have two ones in the system. You go change it to whatever you like. You make it 3, you make it 10.
Got it. Got it. That's
Right.
what.
No,
So
no,
basically, this planning is only for your ideation. You can say that, like, because of this planning, you decided that 3 is what you want. So 3 now becomes 1.
Got
But
it.
because of this only, you kind of came to that derivation, right?
My doubt got clarified. Thank you.
Yeah. Sorry. Now
so this
did
is
you
only
think
the
that-
cost roll-up we only need to do for standard costing, right? Why do you need to do it for actual costing, for average costing? Because
See, functionally, what you say, it makes sense, but what the system allows, I'm not too sure. Whether the system allows both or what, I don't know.
okay, but,
I know you can do
but
this
in
for
average,
average also. You can do this
average
for average
costing.
and actual also.
But average costing, it will not use that. It will
Yeah.
build the cost on the fly. Whereas standard
But-
costing, it will actually use the standard. It will.
Yeah, see, functionally you're right, but I know from a system point of view, it allows you to do the roll up even for actual cost, even for average, and even for
Okay.
standard.
So-
But only you can publish the standard ones. The other ones you can just keep them as your view.
Right. Okay. So one question now, in EBS, we have something called a cost type. And let's say you have a cost type for standard cost, you have a cost type which is always called frozen. But then you have an additional cost type which you can create, and then you can roll up to that cost type, and then you can afterwards transfer from the second cost type to the frozen, and then it becomes a real standard cost. So in this case, how do we implement the cost types? Do we do it through one of the methods? Or
So what I understood now, basically it's the same thing, similar question to what Rao had asked, that suppose you derived at a cost using costing priority 1 and you derived at a cost using work definition which has costing priority 3. Now this is what you like. I believe ultimately you go update your rates and all and get to this level. But I don't think there's an import like option.
Yeah, you can't save two of them, you have to save only one of them, which are
Yes.
the latest to
And
save.
like I said, the publishing can happen only for the standard cost.
you can't keep both of them. You can just roll up once at a time, and then you can go change and roll up again. But only one roll up will be present at a time.
Like basically what I'm trying to say, little your statement I cannot agree to. Like you can roll up for average, standard, actual, keep them as 3 different cost plans. That's okay. But publishing will be only one. Publishing is sending to costing. Sending to
Right,
costing will be only one. You can create multiple roll up and keep. You can keep an average roll up in your cost plan. So this is a cost plan, right? It's called a cost plan.
Right,
So for the same item, yeah.
In EBS, you could roll up, even for standard costing, you could roll up multiple times to different cost types. And only from one cost type you transfer to the standard cost, to the frozen cost, which is the one in real use.
Actually, this is what exactly I was talking about last time. It is used only for standard cost.
Right.
But you are saying in EBS you can do, ultimately you can even do for average and actual.
No, not average. In standard costing also you can do multiple cost types.
Cost type,
Yeah,
I don't know.
Something called a cost type, yeah. There's a concept called a cost type.
Okay.
Which, Rao, do you think one of those cost types, one of the concepts we saw here can be used for cost type?
I'm guessing number 1, 2, those things are cost types. Okay.
No, 1 and 2 is not cost type, I think.
The one is used, the frozen is always used. One is used for, here I think it got a flexibility.
Oh, I get you.
Cost types. Yeah.
Maybe.
No, but when doing a cost roll up, you're not actually choosing the priority, you're choosing the work definition itself.
No, you can. So when you're doing a cost plan, when you're doing a cost plan, again, remember this is a cost plan. In a cost plan, you can choose the costing priority, like the work definition of whichever priority. Because this is just a plan. This is just like nothing is real here. It's just a plan.
Okay. That's
so cost type is nothing but 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah.
Okay.
But only one question you need to answer is always 1 is used or lowest is used. Lowest.
Yes.
Then that is considered as a frozen. Okay.
Okay. So here I've just I wanted to show you. So again, your work definition should be costing enabled again, because we leave this as lowest. Resources must be costing enabled, whether it's a machine or labor. And here I'm just trying to show you the options that you have in cost planning. You have manage cost scenarios and manage resource rates, manage overhead rates, where you can come manage standard cost, where you can come and keep changing the rates. Then you can view the rolled up cost, compare between 2 costs.
I think I want to understand here what the exceptions, scenario exceptions.
We can create exceptions. Remember we did that in manufacturing. We could create resource exceptions, or we can create those. There were also 2-3 type of exceptions. So this is just to capture them. Manage standard cost for exception. So because of the exception, if you had incurred certain costs, that could be. I think this is what that is.
What is compared standard cost? Is it for different priorities? Comparing?
I think, wait, I saw this. I think when you create different cost scenarios, see this cost planning and all, you create different cost scenarios. Here you can compare them. I saw this. I can't recall, but it's something. It's something as the name says. You're just comparing the standard cost for the same thing, maybe in different orgs or something. Once you open the screen, I'm sure it will be very clear. It's not any complicated topic.
Yeah.
Okay.
Move on.
This is a costing scenario. This is the costing scenario you create. So costing scenario.
Big please in the presentation mode. That way we can see. Yeah.
So a costing scenario defines the overall scope on where this cost process is used in a particular period. Where it is used, okay, we give a effective start date and a scenario type, whether it's okay. Scenario type is something I think I had created these regular items, like whether that I'm trying to cost all regular items, like something like component of finished goods I'm trying to cost, and whatever is the scenario, like maybe you are costing for planning reason, or you're costing for some purpose, whatever. Here, see, so this is all we were having a discussion now. Here, what work definition should you select? Because this is like a planning. I told you can choose, but when your work orders are there, you don't get to choose. So you can use the latest work definition, whichever is the latest version, plan based on that. Or you can choose based on production priority, costing priority, or a work definition name. If you choose this work definition name, you have to give a work definition name here. Okay? This is what we were discussing about till now. That when you're doing a planning, you can select the costing priority or any priority.
Yeah, so this may answer our question. You can create different scenarios and roll up the costs and see.
Correct.
Right?
So basically here there's also an actions button. So what this from that actions button, you can roll up cost, you can update the standard cost of certain things, and whenever you're happy, you can publish it.
What's the action button?
It's there here. We have just taken some bit of the screenshot.
So
when you create a cost scenario, you will have like whatever options, whatever actions you can do on this cost scenario, it will give you.
So update standard cost and publish are different steps?
Yes. Standard cost is where you're just updating the cost of your components.
So what does publishing do?
Publishing will send it to cost processing to start the costing. So till here, whatever cost roll up and all we do, it's just for your view. Nothing is being calculated, no bookkeeping, nothing. But when you publish it, it's like you're frozen it. You're already, how do I say? You've sent it for bookkeeping. Your books are going to be updated.
No, books are updated based on actual transactions, right? You are not doing it based on just roll-ups. And standard cost will be in use once it is used to update standard cost. Then it will be in use and not related to publishing, but based on update standard cost step. So
based on, what did you say? Based on update standard cost.
Once you do the update standard cost step, then that standard cost will be used to determine variances next time there are transactions.
I think you're clapping.
No.
So
no. Publishing is the freezing part, where you freeze it.
Okay.
Actually, there is a terminology difference, Dilip.
Yeah, we'll see what publishing does. Maybe it stores it, and otherwise it's just a report.
My question would be, I think, are you going through the publishing details in next screen?
No.
Then
but we can see it. We can open the screen, and I can show you the screen where you'll have the publish option.
Where is the publish button? Is there a publish button?
Yeah. There's action called publish.
Okay.
Dipti, I want to know, if you are not covering in detail, that is a critical step. What that publish does? What kind of a transactional updates? What kind of cost updates it does? In standard cost.
It basically whatever cost you have calculated in this scenario here, it publishes it to cost processing. It submits it to cost. So basically whatever you calculate here, costing doesn't know. It's not even seeing what you're doing here, right?
For example, if I have unposted transactions, what happens?
If you have
unposted transactions or
uncosted
transactions.
Uncosted.
But I didn't understand the question. What will happen? It will not cost. I mean, I didn't get the question. I'm sorry.
Actually, I think it is a gap procedure, I guess. So what it does is, it not only updates the actual work orders costs, it also does uncosted transactions. It calculates and puts into variance.
No, that is a cost processing. This is not cost processing.
I actually didn't get your complete thought process itself.
What typically in a standard, I think let us assume, I'm assuming that we are talking about standard costing method. Okay? The average costing really does nothing. In standard costing, what it does is, when you run a cost update, that means in your words, in cloud words, it is published. So when you publish it, it will do certain functions. It not only updates the item cost, it also does something to the uncosted or transactions, it evaluates them and puts the difference into another account.
No, that is not
Yes.
published step.
I think that is what published step does. That's how I understood. That is what published does.
Correct.
No?
No, but it is when you run the cost processing, that is the function that will do it, right? Not publishing.
Yes, that's possible. That's what I was
See,
trying to.
okay. I think even I'm not sure whether I don't have the answer or whether I don't understand the question. But publishing is, so basically whatever we do here, costing has no visibility to it. But when we publish it, that rolled up cost information, that whole calculation is sent to costing.
Right, it will be stored there, but usage will depend on the cost processor, whether
Yes,
it requires
yes.
it or not.
Correct.
It may or may not require it, but it depends
Correct.
on whether it's required. So the actual costing is not done in published step, it is done during the cost processing.
That's correct.
And
That's absolutely
if
correct.
required, it is available. After publishing, if required, it is available.
Yes, that you're correct there. Okay, so I'm just going to the application. I've just went to cost accounting. So whenever,
Right.
so these are your cost planning things that you can do. So
Okay.
here, if you just want to create your standard cost for items and all, you can, for components, you can just come here and do. Oh, I won't have any item. Okay, so if you have your item, you can have these items here, and then you can have the cost elements and the cost element types, everything here down below.
Right.
So this is for this particular cost. So using all this, I'll show you the cost scenario. Basically, these are all to create new overhead rates. If you have some overhead rate that you're creating.
Yeah. Okay.
They're all tied to this regular items was a scenario that I had created. So which plant are you creating this overhead for? Oh, okay. Again, my inventory orgs are blank, right? So whether it's a work center, remember I told you whether you can create a overhead for a particular work center or you can create a overhead for that entire organization. Okay, then if you have to have an overhead for some category or for some specific items alone, you can all add them here. So basically these are all these are different options that allow you to create this cost scenario. Let's do this. Okay, wait. I have my So in this cost scenario, I'm just taking all regular finished good items, and what did I just use the latest work definition. Okay, and what you can do manage of all this.
Manage resource rates or something. Yeah. Take something.
Yeah, I don't have a lot of the information there because of my orgs, right? So if you had orgs here, it will show you all the resources with that org. So basically, remember what we saw till now was all the basic setup, and that's why you can see your cost orgs and cost book association here. See cost or cost book, that's because we did in the previous session what we've seen. What is the status new? Because mainly I don't have resources because I don't have inventory orgs to this cost org. Otherwise it would show all those items and all those resources here that you can keep editing. Okay, so basically this, so this is, and here you can review the item cost. So if you come here and, okay, I didn't even add a cost to my items. So typically when we do the manufacturing implementation, this is the place where I come to see my assemblies, final assemblies item cost. After we run all the jobs of transfer cost from production to inventory to costing, production to costing, and when we run this account distribution, create account distribution, this is also just like EBS. To run this accounting distributions, you create your run control and run it. These are the accounting periods here.
So periods or cost accounting periods are different than inventory periods?
Inventory periods. No, they are the same thing.
No, this is a different
What is this
one.
web page is? Slowing down your okay, I think my system. Today I somehow felt that this application was also giving a lot of issues. It wasn't loading well just today. In fact, yesterday and all it was really working fine.
Who does that in implementation? Is it manufacturing guys does this or finance guys does this costing?
So this is actually a very gray area. To be honest, what I heard in EBS, finance guys do it, but in Fusion, this has been added in the supply chain modules. So in the initial stages of implementation, the finance guys did it, but now no. Now it's totally supply chain.
No, I think in EBS also we manufacturing guys do it.
Yeah. It's only manufacturing part activity. Yeah.
Yeah.
So mostly nowadays, I would see, I saw in my projects we have costing, a separate person who's doing kind of costing and all. And his main job is only to configure this costing. If it's a big implementation and you have enough resources, otherwise, yes, definitely the manufacturing person. But all these, accounting setups, and even in like typically in procurement, you have all your accounting setups. Earlier, for a very long time, it was only being done by the finance guys.
Accounts are set up by finance guys, but costing, they give the accounts to costing guys and they do the costing setups, am I right?
No, like I said, I've seen couple of implementations where the finance guys only did even the setup. All we had to do was like maybe do the defaulting. That's it. You'd set up all your tab account setup, they call now, the transaction account builder and all. The finance guys used to do it. But yeah, off late it's all supply chain. See, I said, no, this application has been giving me issues since this morning. It's not opening. Basically, it's nothing. It's just exactly, you just create a run controller. These are the fields that you're seeing here, and you just run it like a scheduled job. You can run it from here. So this part is exactly same like how it is in EBS. And once you run over here,
EBS generally this is run every 5 minutes.
oh. So this is all that I had.
Transfer cost. I'm not sure about distributions, but transfer cost is run every 5 minutes.
Transfer cost, yes. Okay, 5 minutes. We ran it for 30 minutes and because we didn't have a huge manufacturing thing. They had like basic. I won't say basic, yeah, whatever. They didn't want to run it also. And I think, I don't know how much Fusion will support every 5 minutes and every 10 minutes. So I think, yeah, this is all I had prepared for this session.
We got a very, very good flavor of costing module.
Cost import, please.
Cost import.
Yeah.
What is the cost import?
Item cost import. You said that you can do it, right?
Yeah, you have this, the application isn't opening. It's just like, again, it's an Excel sheet, like how we had seen the Excel templates that it opens. You can
FVDI?
enter the cost there. Yeah, yeah.
Is it FVDI? Okay.
I think it's FVDI. I haven't opened it. That's again a new feature. I haven't opened it. It should be an ADFDI, that desktop integration application. That was listed as one of the capabilities.
No, desktop integration is different from file-based import, right? There are two methods of importing,
Yes,
right?
yes.
One or
So-
the other. But where do we find it? Actually, one of them is in tools or something, right? The first, the desktop integration is probably in the tools or somewhere.
So
The
there's
other
a
one-
schedule job called export. I think it's called standard cost or export cost, something like that. If you search in the schedule job, there's a thing called export standard cost or something like that. I think it's standard cost only, export standard cost. So when it's under tools only, schedule standard, the
What is
schedule.
export?
Yeah.
Oh, what about import? Oh. Okay. Can you just show us the menu where to go to that, and then you don't have to actually run it, but
No, this application isn't opening. Let me see in the other browser.
maybe you have to close it and open again.
Can you send us those information through an email, the screenshots?
Okay.
How to import cost from a other system to this?
No,
Because that
import
could be-
nahi, import. I saw an export option, not import. There's an export.
So, import will be
Cost.
file-based FDDI.
FID only, yeah.
I have
Where do you
not
go
seen
to?
an import. No, I have not seen an import.
Okay.
One second, it accidentally
Oh,
opened.
file import and export is there. We can search there if it is there at all.
File import and export options also you have. Now, whether it's there for costing and standard cost, I
Right,
didn't check.
okay,
I
that
think
is
should be
nice.
there. Yeah,
It
should be there. I'm just seeing this schedule process. There's a schedule process which doesn't export. So that you can analyze your costs.
Export may not be useful actually when you are going implementation. Import is main thing. Yeah.
No, when you want to analyze your cost and all, that is what you do. We do an export and view them in Excel because it's easy to read data in Excel, right? Export standard cost to cost accounting as an
Right.
XML
Can
file
you
to the
search-
UCM.
Can you see if import option is there?
Okay.
That's the only one.
Don't know. No. This, I want to close this thing and open again. Yeah. Import cost. So what does it do? It's create expenditure item and cost distribution. Yeah, for transactions in Fusion. Okay, this is related to project costing, but it's saying project costing. Okay, it's one interface table using parallel processing. So it's I think this is used in where you have projects involved.
I think if for example, if they're using different systems for PO distribution or manufacturing, and they're implementing costing and finances, then maybe you will connect them, right? Using this, the import process, right? Transactions.
Yes. All these are used when you're integrating different systems, and even those, like I said, you have multiple web services.
Yeah.
That's what you can use.
This may be a useful feature actually for implementations.
So Fusion, they have all defined like that. And within Fusion itself, every application is different. It's just so that you can integrate them to external applications also. So internally also they integrate only with each other. It's just that it's internal and it's in the background.
Definitely they copied this. This is not R12, so they copied it from different system.
Each module is capable of running independently. That's what you're saying.
Correct.
I don't think we people are work definitions or costing. Nothing is R12.
Yeah, compared to web job, but this has changed quite a bit. Costing has changed quite a bit.
Yeah.
And
Like I said,
whatever
very modular, very at different granularity levels, you can make it more modular. So they've made it like, what do you say? Like you have high capability. You can like just mold the application to suit like whatever customer needs. That's how they've designed. But yeah, in that process, they made it too complex.
yeah, like subledger accounting, like it made it pretty complex. Mhm.
Yeah. Subledger accounting is also, because again, if you see again, very modular, very modular.
I think subledger accounting in Fusion is a little less complicated than EBS. EBS
Oh,
is
is it?
terribly complicated, yeah. And I managed to get the hang of it, but since I don't regularly use it, every time I have to refresh myself.
But again, subledger accounting is not something that typically supply chain folks do, right? That's
Right,
maybe
I know.
somewhere you can, yeah.
No, I worked in
But yeah,
financials also, so I had to.
okay. To be
Nowadays,
honest,
I don't work in financials, but my previous client, I had to support them in financials.
okay.
Also.
To be honest, I'm very interested to learn subledger accounting and all, because it's a pain to chase those finance guys to understand what they've done. If
I
there's
think it's a
any
little
issue.
simpler. Infusion is a little simpler than EBS.
Oh, is it? I didn't yet get a chance to get a hang of it.
Fusion is different than this one. I think cloud and Fusion are the same. Am I right?
Yeah, cloud and fusion are the same.
I prefer the word Fusion because the application really is Fusion. Cloud is the way it is hosted.
Correct.
But they like to use the word cloud for it anyway.
So actually what had happened was release 12 was the last. I know release 9 was, release 12 was the last on-premise hosted version of Fusion. And release 9 was completely on-premise. You didn't even have a cloud version. It's
Right.
after that they put everything on cloud.
Right.
And then
they
you
like
can't
to call it
customize
cloud.
anything.
They don't like to call it Fusion that often.
Nobody wants to call it Fusion, man. Everybody says cloud.
No, yeah.
So
Cloud
after
is just
release 13, they decided that. So when release 13, after release 11, basically at the time of release 11, they decided no on-premise hosting, only Fusion hosting. So basically, I did one huge implementation on release 9, which is again locally hosted because it's release 9, it's on-premise version. But again, the customization capabilities are huge there. So it was really fun. Now in cloud, we are all stuck. We cannot customize. We cannot view tables. So in cloud, so basically Oracle Fusion release 9, I had access to every table. I had access to every service, every log, everything. Like I didn't need to depend on Oracle. Now it's pretty messy.
Yeah, but the word cloud is the catchy thing because all the companies which are in cloud, they've got very high stock market valuation. Yeah, that's
Actually, another quick thing I want to learn here is before we end this. When we transfer this cost from inventory up to cost out, all the issues where we look at it. Do you have any script forms or anything to look at it?
The review item cost. Remember just now I showed you the review item cost page. That's where you can see the cost that whatever the costing did. So when you go to the costing module, there's this page called review item cost. So basically whatever the costing did after its costing distribution and all, this item cost is put here in review item cost. You can just search for your item.
No, it is, I think, can you go back to the menu? Can you go back to the menu? I think review cost accounting process. I think that's what it is. The fourth one in the cost processing.
This is for your I thought you asked me the items cost.
No.
One second. Okay, the item cost here you can see that which cost or cost item, what is the unit cost and what cost profile and cost method did it calculate at. That is to view the items cost.
Is there any flag to show it's processed or not processed or error, something like that?
In review item cost, you only have the ones which are processed.
No, I'm not talking about item at all. I'm talking about transactions, process.
No.
Yeah.
I don't recall. I don't recall that.
There's an easy way to see if an item has been costed or not. If a transaction has been costed or not. So can we quickly check here if a transaction is costed or not?
I don't know because like I said, I worked on it very long back. I guess maybe in this accounting processes and all. or somewhere, yeah, you should be able to. For sure, you should be able to, because that's a
I'm
very...
seeing inventory valuations also. So your cost publishing or your cost process inventory valuations also you can look at it. So I think we need to understand this is what is a functional thing people will be working on day to day. Do you have anything called period
Here,
close?
here. This is the cost transactions
Okay.
that you can say. Transaction details and costing details. Here is what you can see.
Oh,
In the
okay. We
review
can
cost
come here
accounting
and
distributions, yes.
so it's the transaction end. Okay.
Where are the errors you see?
Errors, I think you should be seeing in the job, because whenever you run your job of account distribution and they fail through the error logging, whatever is the output of those schedule process, that is what you'll see the errors. There isn't a very clean page for errors here in Fusion.
How about is the closing periods are there in this? A month end closing?
You have the accounting periods here.
How do you close the account period? Any process to do this?
I don't remember. Why do I think here only we could close them? No?
Yeah, I think in the actions it must
Yeah,
be there.
here itself we used to do them.
Close
Copy
period. Yes.
period, yeah,
Yes,
close period. So here itself we do it, yes.
Right. Okay.
Okay. At least we see the button, but there is a lot of process involved in closing the period. So very
Functionally yes, that's all. Like I said, this is a huge topic.
the closing period. Do you have any tasks we need to review in cloud? Do you have anything for closing cost period? Do you have any list of tasks?
No, nothing like that. This is like a functional thing, right? Like, typically you just decide.
What is
Some
this
costing has failed, some items, transactions costing has failed, they did not allow you to close the period.
Close period pending, permanently, run validations. Can you say what are the other things in this? Do you have
I can't recall. A lot of these work have been added even newly, and no. Close period pending. Maybe the pending periods to close, I don't know. I'm just guessing again.
Close
So
period
let me
pending
not
is if
guess.
you want to temporarily close it, it's not permanent, non-permanent. You can reverse it, you can open it back again. It's all pending here.
Run validations, view exceptions. I think there are a lot of things.
But here it's doing from close status. Okay. I won't know.
What is the status here?
Yeah,
It's showing a green. It's just showing a dot.
What is the run validations? Do you have an idea about run validations?
This is for your run controls. So based on whatever run controls you have, if you run these validations, you'll know whether your thing is going to, okay, no, sorry, this is in period closing, right? So looks like it'll kind of tell you whether you are ready to close this or not. I haven't used this enough. Yeah.
I think so. This is a good one. This will help us to determine whether the period has any problems in closing or not. So typically you do this little before actually closing.
Okay, so I guess you have to run these validations. Yeah, I've not implemented this in detail. I won't know so much.
How these costings are transferred to GL?
Your voice is breaking up. I can't hear.
When these costed transactions, distributions get transferred to GL?
When they do them, I won't know.
These are all the points. That's one. And another thing is, when this transactions of a sales order or something get moved to receivables, invoices, and payables similarly, when those transactions happen.
And repeat your question.
I mean, at a high level, the question is, what is the interface between costing and payables? What is the interface between costing and GL and maybe receivables? I think receivables and payables are basically coming from PO and OEM, am I right? So mostly GL, it will be transferring to GL. Costing will be mainly interfacing with GL.
There will be no transfer to receivable and payable from here.
Correct.
Right.
So it's only to GL. So how that happens? GL transfer happens.
No, I won't know anything related to finance and GL.
Standard in GL module. We have not seen that here.
Yeah.
It's not in our scope here to see that.
Yeah, I don't know, but if that is there, there is a process to run from here to GL. Typically VBS is there, so.
I
No,
won't
no.
know.
So once you
That will
do,
come under the scope of GL implementation, I guess, because I really never heard of it.
No,
so
not
you do create accounting in final mode, then you're very close to GL. Maybe from there you can import it into GL.
What they do is they transfer to GL in a batch mode or in a incremental batch mode or a daily and month end, or different things are there. So this is part of the process of transferring the values to GL. That's what is eventually you have to do, right? It gets reflected in different accounts. That means there should be a transfer of incremental transfer from costing to GL.
I guess that comes under the GL's implementation because I have never seen that. So maybe the GL person who's implementing, his job is to import this and then work on it. Because I have never seen that. I've never even heard of it, like at least like supply chain people doing it. I won't know.
Yeah,
I won't
it's
know.
not in our scope, Rao.
Yeah.
That's a different topic.
No, 1 minute. Let me tell you. At least the general idea is you send it first, and it goes to interface. Some intermediate interface tables or files or whatever it is. Then they import it. So the portion of that is transferring to GL is on costing side. Importing it to GL is from GL side. That's what is that.
Then I have not seen a separate transfer process, so maybe it's already interfacing in the background once the cost processor is run and this cost distribution is done. I guess it interfaces to the GL interface at that time because I have not seen that transferring being in our scope. So maybe it's transferred as your costing
it's
is
a
done.
financial step. So our last step is maybe create accounting, right? Transfer to accounting. That's our last step.
Accounting distributions, yes.
Right. That is our last step. So after that,
Correct.
we are not handling it in this area.
Yeah.
After that, finance guys pick it up.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah, because I've never heard of that.
I think in subledger accounting one that got changed, costing got changed, but in creation of account itself is transferring to GL. Account distributions.
I see account distribution here, which we always run. Without that, your costing is of no use.
Correct.
But
correct.
yeah, again, yeah, we saw that now, right? Here.
Yeah, so Rao, our scope here is up to create accounting distribution only, nothing more.
Okay, but I want to see that. I think that's what created the, transfer.
Right. So our step is done here at this point. Our responsibility is complete here, and then finance guys take over from this step.
Correct. Okay. That's what I want to know. I think this is what does that transfer. Correct.
So they will have one more step to take it to GL, but we are not concerned with that.
Yeah. That is on an accounting side. But
Right.
this is one it sends out of the costing module to an intermediate platform where that can pick it up. GL can pick it up.
Yeah, so let's leave it at this point here. This is our last step.
Yeah, it looks like you know that, Dave. Yeah, okay.
So this is all what I had for today before the call gets disconnected.
Very good. I
Anytime,
think
I won't know.
we completed this complex module in a very good way. Now we will try to go through the screens ourselves and see. You think we can actually seriously go ahead and create all those definitions, all the setups?
Yeah, it was so serially organized, right? So,
Okay, so we should
as
go
a
step by
practice,
step.
oh yes, you'll totally be able to do it. You'll be able to run this cost distribution. There's just no issue. So, the complexity will come when you start calculating your cost, when you start seeing the actual value, when you start seeing, here it was 10 and now it's 12, and why it is this, why it is that. That will be like where you'll have to spend more effort and time. But until here, it's going to be very simple.
So we should actually create work definitions, do a cost roll-up, then create a job, create a work order, transact on the work order, and then do the cost accounting distributions for that. So ideally, we should do those steps, right?
Yes. That way, if you want to see like real output, that's when you see all the real numbers.
Right. I think it'll be worth doing all that. Yeah, sure.
A lot of work actually, costing. Yeah.
Yeah, of course, it'll be a lot of work.
Exactly, a lot of work. And I think initially here it took me a lot of time to decide what I want to show, how I want to show, just the organizing part. I spent like hell lot of time because I knew the time is short and to what level I go, what do I do.
I think you really focused on the setups very well. That's very good. And we
Oh,
got
I
an
can't tell
idea.
you. I was practically preparing for the session till
Yeah.
10 minutes of the session before it beginning.
Right. Yeah, no,
Firstly
we got a
because of
good
my
idea.
holiday plan and all. But yeah.
Can
You
you
got a
send
good
us
idea
that
about the steps.
video and your PowerPoint presentations, please, Deepti? Can you? In fact,
Yeah, the PowerPoint and all those the training team will send you for sure, and recording also they only have access. I don't have access to the recording.
did you put in